You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Hart of Dixie After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Hart of Dixie After Show.
Welcome back, everyone. Hart of Dixie. We are back for another after show. It is season 3, episode 7. I run to you with this very fitting song. Unfortunately, Whitney Lane is not here with us this evening, but I am your host, Paige Sullivan, joined by my co-host.
Hi guys, I'm Michelle Renee.
Hi, I'm Christine Archer.
And we'll break this episode down for you. This was a good episode. I feel like I was a little worried about Abby and Lavon this episode. It actually kind of got me upset, but everything else was pretty upbeat.
Yeah, I liked this episode better than I've liked some of the other ones we've seen in the past few weeks.
I thought the running thing was kind of fun. The big race. Again, it was like Fillmore. I feel like Fillmore, the mayor's in every single episode.
Gainey, yeah.
It's a big thing.
The older Gainey. But we start off the episode with George and Linley in bed, which I was like, oh, that happened fast.
They got a little PG-13 on us this episode.
They did. I feel
I'm
like
surprised.
They always imply that sex is happening, but like you don't see them like in bed
Pantless.
together.
She was not
And we
pants.
saw the whole like leg of hers, the like J-Lo, Angelina Jolie, like full leg. So I think that was a lot.
I didn't expect to see that like opening up to Hart of
I didn't
Dixie.
either. We were both surprised. We were like, okay,
Whoa.
this is new for Hart of Dixie.
Do you guys like it? Like throughout this whole episode, did you like them?
I mean, I've never been opposed. Like I've always been like, oh, George and Linley, like I don't hate it. So, I mean, good for them.
I mean, you've been saying all along that you thought this was going to happen. Yeah. I honestly didn't think it was going to. I mean, they kind of set it up for it to happen, but I thought maybe that was more reason that it wouldn't because they were trying to make it seem like something would and then nothing would come of it. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I thought I would hate it. I didn't completely hate it this episode, though.
I think it's like a lot of things with Hart of Dixie that we've discussed this season is they're setting these characters up for us not to like them. And now I don't mind her as much. She wasn't as annoying. She doesn't seem clingy or anything in a relationship way. And so maybe the way they introduced her to us put us off to her. But I didn't really feel opposed to them together this episode at all.
She definitely has calmed down from the first couple of times we saw her. I think in episode 1 and 2, she was just, Lavon's crazy little cousin, kind of acting. I mean, she's, I think, older than I thought originally. Is she, what, 20?
She's 25.
25, yeah. And she was kind of acting like a teenager almost in the first couple of episodes. But now that we've seen her start to act more like an adult, I think she's definitely less annoying. And in this episode, I think because she isn't still chasing George around all the time, it's not quite as annoying either. And now that they're kind of in this like semi-relationship-ish thing, which I guess we'll get to later because I talked about that multiple times throughout the episode, I definitely think she's much more likable as a character. Yeah,
I think she was very understanding and reasonable as far as their relationship goes because she was like, I mean, so wait, are we like in a relationship or we're not? And she wasn't too demanding, like, we're in a relationship.
Right.
So, I mean, I thought that was mature of her because, I mean, that happens in real life. You're in a situation with someone and...
Define it.
Yeah. DTR, what is it?
Define
DTF,
the relationship.
that's something else.
Yeah.
Wrong show. DTR, defining the relationship.
She's not too, apparently.
I agree that she's seemed a little more mature. I was annoyed with her previously because even though she wasn't chasing George, she was playing games. She's like, oh, I bet somebody you'd come after me, and I bet that you'd do this. So she was kind of toying with him, but now it does seem like she's being mature. She's asking the question and taking the answer pretty well, but she did kind of spill the beans to Lavon at one point, which I was kind of annoyed with.
At a really bad time. Like George said to her, I think, why of all times would you choose to do it then? And I mean, again, it wasn't surprising. Kind of saw it coming that when it was going to happen. But she definitely should have waited on that one.
I think the one good thing that came of it is that George stood up to Lavon a little bit and kind of wasn't so afraid of him. He's your friend. He's not your dad. You don't have to listen to him. His cousin's 25 years old. She can make up her own mind what she wants to be doing. The one thing that I didn't like was that Linley asked him not to tell Lavon and then told Lavon behind George's back, and it kind of made George look like a jerk.
Yeah, it did.
I'm just glad that she actually told him, because this entire season I've been thinking that the way that Lavon was going to find out about it was him like walking in on them like hooking up or something, which I think would have been worse.
Oh, way worse.
So, I mean, at least it was, someone making a conscious effort to alert him to what was going on with the situation.
Right, and I don't even think, he's so scared Lavon's gonna like break his knees or whatever. Lavon comes in and like stutters and kind of yells at him. I wouldn't be scared of Lavon.
I wouldn't either. And the like quote unquote threat that he made to him was, you're gonna be kicked off the team, or like you can't run in the race. Is that really a big deal? No. Like, is that anywhere near I'm gonna go break your legs, George Tucker? No. Like, it really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I think the whole point of it was that Lavon, this was kind of a way for Lavon to see how he was acting with Annabeth and how he was handling the situation inappropriately. So.
Yeah, it was like they were mirroring each other, because
Yeah.
he was giving George an ultimatum, and I love how George calls him out. He's like, whoa, are you giving me the ultimatum now? Because you just got one of those. I guess jumping to that, we do see that things are awkward between AB and Lavon. She's making all of this jam. I honestly thought, I was like, she should start selling that and stop giving it away to everybody.
Have a business.
But he doesn't want to talk to her, doesn't want to go to dinner with her. They haven't. I wonder how long it's been since they had that conversation. I don't remember if they said exactly, but apparently they haven't been seeing a lot of each other.
Yeah, they did make it sound like that. I think, I don't know, that whole situation was kind of weird. And then at the end, they're like, I don't know what, I'm trying to remember what happened now. They're reunion at Lavon's house, and Lavon like gives her a drawer for her jam. The whole thing was just a little strange to me.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't get, because she said she hadn't seen that much of him, and then whenever she like said, I'm going back to, like, this was like last episode, I think.
Yes.
When she said, I'm gonna spend the night at my own apartment tonight, I don't want to stay with you. But then at the end of the episode, she was in his house cooking dinner. So have they seen each other, or have they not seen each other?
When was she cooking dinner? At the end of this episode?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like, I thought they weren't seeing each other. I thought she was spending time at her own house, but then he walked into his house and she was there. So
Maybe.
it's like, have they just been in the same house, but they haven't really been communicating, or?
No, I think, didn't Zoe tell her that she had to talk to him, even though he kept avoiding her? And maybe that was just her way. They had that whole jam fight, like the fight about jam, which was really their relationship. Maybe she was just being aggressive, going after what she wanted, and they have keys to each other's places. So maybe it was just, it was coming to a head, and they.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just a little thing in my mind, because I was like, we haven't been seeing that much of each other. Does that technically mean like I haven't seen you, or does it mean like we haven't been spending time together because we've been coming home at different times, and I've been asleep and you've been reading in bed, and I don't know.
No, I feel like that's a real thing, though. In real life,
Yes.
couples can live together and see each other every day, but they don't talk about anything, and they don't have like a relationship happening. So maybe that's what it was, because she was seeing Lavon kind of in the town square when they were out and talking to him, and so they have keys to each other's places. Maybe they were in and out. I don't know. They don't really let us in on it, but.
Do you guys think that Annabeth is justified in, like, at this point in their relationship, feeling like he should be taking the next step, proposing, whatever it may be, or do you think she's kind of rushing things?
I think at their age, I mean, I feel like when you're young and in college, like, relationships, you can be together for years and there doesn't have to be a next step for a while. But when, you're in your 30s, I feel like people tend to move quicker in relationships, and they know sooner than later whether or not they want to be with you. I don't think he has to propose, but maybe she could just move in with him, or he could say, I'm not proposing right now, but that is a part of our future. That's where I see this going. So that way there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. And I think that if I were in her situation, I would definitely be conscious of the fact that he did just propose to this girl, and he did that relatively quickly. Mm-hmm. And it would make me feel some type of way, like if he wasn't proposing to me as quickly, because it's like, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, okay, well, he got rejected by her, so maybe that's why he's not proposing. But then also it's like, well, he wanted to marry her so quickly, and he doesn't want to marry me.
Yeah.
Right.
He obviously is a guy that's not afraid of commitment, so it must be something wrong with me.
Right. Lavon seems to love and love hard, just the way he did with Lemon and with Ruby. So I would be self-conscious as well. He wanted to marry her so quickly, and what's wrong with me? But I do see where Lavon's coming. He did get rejected. But do you guys think, I feel like he's a much better fit with Annabeth than he was with Ruby.
I liked him and Ruby.
Yeah, you liked him better. I just like her better. She's funnier, or like.
Well, there was
friendlier.
another one of those situations though where they set Ruby up for failure. So.
Yeah, like we didn't want to like her. I wonder if she'll ever come back. I mean, they didn't.
I don't think so.
She left, but.
I feel like
I
she
could
made
see her
her
coming
exit.
back.
I could see her stirring the pot a bit, like causing some drama with Abby and Lavon.
Or maybe coming back and her being like, Lavon, I realized Texas wasn't all that I thought it was going to be. And her
Yeah.
trying to get back in with him and him being like, no, I love Annabeth. You know?
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of weird because he hasn't, like, well, not just him, no one has addressed her in, like, since the last
But
season.
her uncle or her granddad, the old guy, he's still there.
That's true.
Yeah.
So there's
Maybe she'll come back.
always hope she can come back for Ruby fans out there. But I like that they resolved their issues. I didn't think there was going to be much, I didn't think there was going to be many episodes dedicated to them fighting, and I didn't see them breaking up. So I'm glad that they wrapped that up for
I
them.
agree.
But the other storyline, obviously, Zoe, Joel.
Again.
I think it's weird, one, that she was staring at him to wake him up. Like he said, he's like, are you staring at me to wake me up again?
Weird that it's a normal thing. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
it happens every day.
I think we always say, like, oh, Joel's so goofy, but she's like a weird girl. Like
She is.
She's strange.
She is, yeah.
She does.
Quirky.
Yeah, quirky. A little out there, a little different. But she's getting kind of annoyed because he stayed out till last call with Wade drinking, and he hasn't been writing his book, and he's off track.
I don't get this friendship. I don't think, like, when you think about Wade's character and you think about Joel's character, they don't match up at all.
Right,
They
but
shouldn't be friends. Like, it just makes no sense to me. It makes sense to me that Wade and George Tucker would be friends. It might even make sense to me that Joel and George would be friends. But Wade and George, nothing.
You mean Wade and Joel?
Wade and Joel,
well,
nothing.
that's what I was going to ask you. So you think it's not that weird that Wade and George are friends, but I feel like George and Joel are kind of similar to one another in the sense that they've, gone to college and lived in the big city, and
Right.
they have these big dreams and aspirations. Not that Wade doesn't; his are just different. I don't think it's weird. I feel like guys connect on a different level than girls do. Maybe they're doing weird things like drinking and playing video games. It's not like they're doing anything like girl talk and like sharing their thoughts and feelings with one another. So I don't think it's that strange. There's not many guys there that he can bond with.
Yeah. I think he just needs to get away from Zoe and
That's a lot, like just to only know one person.
and she's your girlfriend, and like she's kind of quirky, like we just said. So I mean, I think if anything for him, it's just him trying to get away from things for a while. And Zoe is she's such a mom. She treats him like a child. She really does.
Yeah, I mean,
And she used to treat Wade like a child as well. And she kind of acknowledges it at the end of the episode, which is good that she realizes her fault. But I mean, I can understand why he would want to just kind of escape from her.
and I mean, Wade says to her point blank when they were in there playing video games, like, do we have homework to do or something, Mom? And it's definitely the role she's taken on with Joel.
And she was blaming Wade though, and
She was,
And I
yeah.
think that's the little seed being planted in our heads that she's focusing on Wade almost more than Joel. Like as if Joel has no backbone and can't do anything for himself, and Wade's
Well, he can't
controlling
really.
it.
Yeah, that's
For
what I'm
being
saying.
honest,
I
he
mean-
hasn't really been able to.
I mean, but he did stick up for himself this episode, and he's like, "No, I think I'm gonna try Wade's way. I think I'm gonna try and just relax."
Kind of, but it was almost in that like whiny little kid way, like, I'm gonna do what I want, like, because I can't get my work done. So I don't know. I think we all know where we are.
Yeah, he was having writer's block, which I almost found annoying. He's like, "I'm awful. I put a list together of all the reasons I suck." It's like,
Yeah.
take a breather, take a walk.
But even though Joel is annoying, I think he, just like Linley, he's growing on me a little bit. I don't dislike him as much as I did in the beginning.
No, he's really grown on me. I don't find him annoying at all. I find her more annoying towards him. Like the way
Yeah.
she treats Joel, a bit annoying. But he's kind of just go with the flow. He seems like an easygoing guy. I don't know. I like him. But I didn't love this whole plot of him being like abducted. Found that a little
that was
silly
ridiculous, yeah.
by Tansy's brothers. But Tansy's brothers are kind of drinking, not paying their beer tabs anywhere, and Wade refuses to serve them anymore. So they take Joel, I guess, for a ransom, so they don't have to pay their debt to Wade anymore, which I just thought was a little like crazy. But
The whole like reintroduction of Tansy's brothers was just kind of weird in general. We haven't seen them since, I guess, when George met them.
Yeah.
Was that the last season?
yeah,
And so to kind of just like throw them back in there just for the sake of having someone to take Joel hostage.
And especially without Tansy being there. Like
Right,
if they
it makes
had
no
been
sense.
introduced and Tansy was like somewhere
And when-
behind them, that would have been
It would
Yeah.
make sense. And the thing is that it's not like they even live there. So it doesn't make sense that, they would just occasionally show up. They would go to the bar. Like when they came to visit Tansy last season, they stayed with her. And that was when she and George still had their thing. And so to just have them like randomly show up, like living outside of town, like across the river. I don't really know what was going on there. It was weird.
Right. I kind of got the impression, sometimes I feel like this, but I might be wrong, that when they do reintroduce these characters, they're coming back for a bit. And the fact that they're going to work their debt off over at the Rammer Jammer, I think we might be seeing them in the next 1 or 2 episodes. I don't think there'll be main, storylines with them, but they might be involved somehow. Otherwise, it does seem really strange that they just kind of brought them in for this one episode, especially when Wade is such a distant, relation to them. He was married to their sister years ago, and there's really no correlation there.
Yeah, and they keep saying like, you're our brother's moms. They don't
even
they're
know.
so dumb. But I wonder how they feel towards George. Because I'm assuming it's not very good. I'm assuming they hate George and probably want to
Yeah, they
kill him.
must. See, that storyline would make more sense to me if they found out George had a new girlfriend, Linley, and got mad about that. That would make more sense to me.
I agree.
I mean,
maybe we'll see.
Yeah, this storyline was a little weird, but I did like at the end how Joel's, right, and he's got his, his groove back with that, all because of this adventure. But now he's like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with the Truitt brothers.
Yeah.
And what was he going to do with them? He was going to do something strange.
Life imitating art.
He picks the strangest people to hang out with.
He's got some strange
I don't get
friends.
it.
Well, guys, head over to iTunes and tell us what you think about the Truitt brothers, Joel and Linley, Tansy, and all the other characters at Hart of Dixie. You can go to iTunes/Hart of Dixie. You can check out our after show, leave us comments, rate our after show, any questions you might have. And you can also check out other after shows like, what shows are you doing?
Beauty and the Beast, Castle, Vampire Diaries.
Vanderpump Rules, Shaws of Sunset, if you like reality television.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Check them all out.
All right.
So let us know what you're thinking, because I feel like all of these characters, there's so much going on. There's so many different storylines, whereas I feel like in the past they all intertwined, and now it's kind of like we've got Lemon and Brick, we have Zoe and Joel, we have Wade and Zoe, and he dropped more things this episode about how he doesn't have to do anything to get Zoe back.
He did. He said that a few times, which was maybe where we'll have to talk about the previews at the end, because it was kind of
the previews.
I know. Looks like there's some good stuff next
Steamy.
week, but I'm not. It is kind of weird. I didn't even think about that, but really, each storyline that we're seeing is completely separate from the rest. Like we honestly, I'm trying to think back now. Like within the different storylines, no one really interacted with one another. It was pretty much like everyone separated into their own individual things, which is a little weird. And I don't know if I like it. Maybe because this time we didn't have, we had the race, but we didn't have like a huge town event.
Right, so there's no
for
reason.
once. Yeah, so there's no reason that I guess that they would interact. But yeah, it's kind of weird to not see all of them together.
There was some overlapping in the sense that at the race, Cricket's eating the jam, which involves AB, and AB would show up to practice, and George got kicked off the team because of what happened with Linley. But in a sense, it all was, I felt like, very separate categories that you could break this episode up into. Yeah. Whereas in the past, it's been a little messier and confusing. But we also briefly, I guess, Zoe tried to make the Rammer Jammer into this space for Joel, which we didn't talk about, but I thought it was cute that Tom is so involved, and he's so desperate for him to be able to write this next book because he looks up to Joel so much.
Yeah, because he's a huge fan.
Tom is the homeless man, and the fake cafe was entertaining, I guess.
Yeah,
it was kind of weird though. And then the whole it was Wanda who was dressed up as a goth waitress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They do some strange things in this town.
She tweeted a picture of them all in their workout gear from running. I was thinking about how much running they actually had to do, or how long they had to be on those little steps, how many scenes, how many takes did that take.
And were they on a green screen during the race? Because the running looked a little
weird.
Big.
Yeah.
We were laughing at how funny it looked. I think that Wanda and Tom especially embody the nature of a small town where everybody kind of pitches in to help their fellow neighbor. So
right.
I think it's cute.
It was cute. They're so gung-ho. They don't care. They're just like, oh, what, you need me to do that? Okay, I'll do that. If that's going to help Joel, I'll do that.
Yeah. And, they probably get bored with their everyday life anyway, working at the Rammer Jammer, serving the same people, the same grits, day in and day out. So it's probably something fun for them to do. Okay, I'll be a golf.
And what is Tom's job? Does he have a job, or does he just take care of the bees? Because I thought that was what Wanda was doing.
I think he just takes
Doesn't
care
he
of
work
Wanda.
at the store?
Does he?
Or somewhere?
I feel like he's always just hanging around, and Wanda's the one bringing home the bacon. She's the one working.
I think so too.
21st century woman.
Right? Good for her. I thought it was a little strange. We didn't have any issues between the Bells and Lemon, which we haven't seen in a bit. So I liked that.
Yeah.
But Lemon and Brooke have this thing going. She wants to set him up, get him over Shelby. And she wants him to get with Miss O'Connell. And I thought it was really strange that he wouldn't date her because of that mole. And I kind of was annoyed. I was like, that's rude. Like, that's a body mark or a beauty mark or whatever it is that she had. I mean, I guess
But you don't know what the mole
we
looks
don't know
like.
what it looked like or where it was.
What if it was like really big and had like hair coming
He's
out?
a doctor.
Like...
He could have just been
He
like,
could've
you know what,
removed
that
it.
looks like it'd be best if we took it off.
But
That
luckily
looks
she got it
cancerous,
taken
like,
off
what?
anyway.
That looks like it could be a
She
problem.
was a cute woman though. When we
She was
first really saw
adorable.
her, I was like, oh, she's cute, a little MILF.
Really cute.
little.
And she's like, oh, yoga. It's all yoga. She sounds very LA. Oh, I went on a yoga retreat. This is why I look so great. But I like that he was dating a woman his own age. He had fun. I'm glad Lemon was helping him out. Lemon doesn't seem involved with anybody her own age anymore. Like,
No.
does she talk to anybody? Does she hang out with anybody?
I'm still really upset it didn't work out with Clay from One Tree Hill. I'm completely blank. Peter was his name in the show. I
I was
can
gonna
only
say,
think of
I was
Clay
like,
from
who's
One Tree.
Clay?
Yeah. No, Peter, the news producer. I thought that had potential, but
It may.
no
I think it's
such
gonna
luck.
come back.
I think the biggest thing is that her character can't be super consistent this whole season because of
She's
her
having
real
a
life
baby.
pregnancy.
Yeah.
So I think they introduced us to Peter, got our hopes up, and maybe they'll bring him back in the second half of the season because we would have to miss a couple
She needs to
episodes in
rest.
there. They would have had to be on a romantic getaway, enjoying
That's
their
true.
time together.
I hope so.
I hope so. I like him as an actor in general. I think it'd be nice to have some new blood in the show and get things going over there. Because poor Lemon.
I know.
Yeah.
She's
Rough
having a
go
rough
of it.
time. She
And
has.
everybody else has found love.
Mhm.
Some situations haven't lasted,
Right.
maybe, but like Tansy and George, they found love temporarily, and even with like Lavon and Ruby, and now he has Annabeth and Lemon. Like
Nothing.
I mean, besides George, that was like the last relationship we saw her in, and that was first season.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
we've seen her in other relationships, but they've been very like temporary.
they've been
and
like,
George.
yeah, they fly by. I feel like
Yeah.
it's 1 or 2 episodes and then it's done.
Yeah.
So I do feel for her, and I feel like she focuses so much of her energy now on other people and other things that are happening, and now she doesn't work for the Rammer Jammer, and she didn't get fancies because someone else did. And I love how, is his name Edward? He wouldn't tell her who bought it,
Yeah.
and he says, "It's not for you. I'm like protecting that person, or I'm
Right,
afraid of
right.
what you'll do when you find out who did it."
Yeah.
Did you guys think it was Shelby?
Yes.
I did, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But she wasn't. That wasn't fancies though. At the end, she
Well,
was.
she's redoing
That's
it.
what she
Oh,
did.
she's redoing it. So it was fancy.
That was fancy.
Oh, I thought she was like in a like performing arts center. Like
Well, I think she's
trying
making I think she must be making it into like a
make them like a
karaoke
lounge
bar or
something. Okay,
something.
all right, it's all coming to me now. Okay, that makes sense. This whole situation with Shelby, we haven't really seen Brick like that much at all, I guess.
Mhm.
And then when we do see him, I didn't think that he was focusing too much on Shelby. Like, oh, I miss her.
Mhm.
So for him, all of a sudden to in this episode be trying to get over her, I thought that could have been woven into the storyline a little bit more to
Sooner.
make it more
Mhm.
believable.
Well, the only reason I thought it was Shelby at first, I was like, oh, maybe the Bells bought it. Like collectively, they bought it so Lemon couldn't have it or something like that. The only reason I suspected Shelby, and I wrote it early on in my notes, was because she was setting Brick up with somebody else and
Yeah.
talking about getting over Shelby. And that's the only reason I even pictured Shelby coming on the show again. But I don't know how long this can last because she was booked on a different pilot that was airing. I don't know if it got canceled. So if that show is still on the air, I don't know if she'll be coming back completely or if it's just like as a guest role.
Yeah.
What do you think? So you don't think it's her kid then? Or, I'm sorry, Brick's kid. It's obviously her kid.
It's her kid, that's for sure. And the timing seems like it could be Brick's kid. But I don't know. I feel like that'd be an interesting storyline.
Like,
Well,
whose kid is it if it's not Brick's kid?
Well, if it is Brick's kid, I think that would be an interesting
Yeah,
storyline.
he's like 70.
He's old.
I
and
think
he's gonna
either
have
way
to
it'll be
dad.
good, though. Because, I mean, if it wasn't Brick, it was probably still someone else in Bluebell. And if it wasn't
Well, no,
him,
she
who do you
left
think
after
it
they got
is?
divorced. Oh, not divorced. After he broke off the engagement, and she just left, and we haven't seen her since. So
But it hasn't been that long, has it? Because he was saying
said
she looks to be
7
like 6
months?
to 7 months. But is that when they started dating, or is that
Oh,
when
no.
she left?
that's when she left.
Okay.
Lemon was like, "When did you guys call it off?" And he's like, 6, 7 months ago. And Lemon's like, "Yeah, that's looks how pregnant she is."
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're setting her up for just a 1 or 2 episode storyline here. She bought fancies and she's pregnant. Like those
Yeah.
two things kind of carry a number of episodes with them, I would assume.
Yeah. No, I definitely think she'll be back. I just don't know in what sense. Like, will her and, Brick get back together? Will they be actually having a baby? I'm kind of hoping it's not his kid. I just feel like that would be a hit to Lemon, too. And that'd be another thing in her life that's kind of like, now my dad has something else to focus on, and I'm all alone over here.
Now I have a brother or sister. Like, I have brother or sister.
Right.
Because that would be her sibling. And, like...
With a girl, like, Shelby's Lemon's age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always... When that happens
gross.
in real life, I'm always like, ugh.
Oh, it totally happens in real life.
It happens all the time, and it grosses me out a bit, because it's like, Lemon and Shelby were babies at the same time, and Brick is Lemon's father. I just find that to be very, I don't know, unsettling. I just kind of hope it doesn't pan out that way. I hope it's somebody else's and she's very happy with someone else.
I have a feeling it won't pan out that way.
You think it's his?
No, I think it's probably not his, but I don't know whose it might be.
She moved
someone
on
else,
quick,
probably. Yeah.
Well, what if, she got sad? She had
Best
a
way
rebound.
to get over one man is to get under another. Yeah, that's what they say.
And use protection.
Clearly, she didn't do that, though.
But where's she getting all this money? Remember she had all that debt and, like, a big issue. How was she buying
Maybe
fancies?
she's a surrogate, so maybe it's not her child.
That is a good idea. Oh.
But really, if she's a surrogate, is that what she's using her money for, to buy fancy?
Who knows if that's her dream? Maybe.
Ugh,
or maybe it was a way for her to get Brick back, and so she's like, she's going to buy fancies and move back into town, and she's going to have him thinking that it's his kid, so she's going to trap him.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Until she has the baby and has to give it off to whoever it is.
She's like, oh, actually, I promised this baby to someone else. Sorry, Brick. I don't
We'll
know.
see.
I could also maybe think that she's got, like, a really rich husband or something or other, or baby daddy that helped her buy fancies, because I just don't see her. How would she get this money other than the surrogate thing? If it's not a surrogacy thing, where else did she get this money? She just, like, her debt vanished and she became a millionaire, or
who knows
however
what she's
much.
been doing
7
the last
months?
7 months, yeah.
Yeah, she was a busy girl in 7 months.
She was.
I'm sure we'll find out.
We'll see next episode.
Yeah, we'll see a lot next episode. I'm confused because it says it's the mid-season finale on the preview. I don't know if any of you guys know, leave in the comments, but I'm surprised if that is the last episode before the break. That's early. But we saw a lot going into it. But to wrap this episode up, we kind of have Zoe and Joel. They're good. She's trying not to be like a mom in this situation, and he's kind of still doing his own thing, I guess. Lavon and AB are together. Brick and Lemon are confused as to what's going on, and then George and Linley are together. It seems like everything's, like, in a good place except for the Brick Lemon situation.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that next week.
I'm actually very, very excited. Actually, that might be a really good way to go into the hiatus, is having a big episode with a pregnancy scare and all. Or not scare, it's a legitimate pregnancy.
It's a pregnancy.
But for Brick, it might just be a pregnancy scare. But I guess we'll see. So, yeah, we'll have to see next week. But before then, do we have any news and gossip?
Do we?
Do we?
Do you know? Did
No.
you see anything this week?
No.
In
Actually,
tabloids or anything?
Other, just tweeting. Like, I follow most of them on, like, Instagram and Twitter and stuff, and they're all tweeting pictures of the episodes and things like that. We also talked to Mallory Moy, who hopefully will be coming back on to guest, co-host with us and for us to talk to. In January, she says she has a fun episode coming up. So maybe she'll get pregnant.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting, a pregnancy from her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
that's
love
what
that.
we all thought last season, but hasn't happened yet.
No, so I'm wondering, I didn't ask her, obviously, but because I want to wait till she gets here, but maybe that's what hers is about. But no, I mean, just so many pictures of Jamie King, so many pictures she's Instagramming, and she just looks so
She's
good.
skinny.
That's all I can think about.
We get it, Jamie.
Yeah. Jealous, very jealous. But we have no news and gossip, really, but do we have any good predictions?
I guess we just talked about
And
predictions.
now,
Yeah.
your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I had one, and now I'm blanking. Oh, I was thinking when you mentioned the Tansy's brothers coming back, if they're going to be back for more than this episode, if they're going to be back for a few, I'm wondering if maybe somehow their presence in Bluebell will lead to Tansy coming back and kind of stirring things up with the George Linley situation. I imagine Linley will be very dramatic about that if so, but I think I could see it happening, especially if this is the mid-season finale. We saw in the previews for next week. Was that Zoe and Wade? Am I correct?
Yeah, that was Zoe and Wade.
I thought so, and then it was very short, and they like flashed it on the screen and then took it off, so I wasn't sure. But it seems like there are a lot of things that could be happening this week it would make sense for them to be leaving us with the cliffhanger.
Yeah. I predict that Joel is going to go back to New York. Because there were moments in this episode where I thought that he had left to go back to New York, and he stayed, obviously. But I think that in the next few episodes, he's going to go.
Okay. See, I'm getting a different vibe from this. I feel he's being very understanding of living in Bluebell and kind of, you know, taking life, what is this saying, like by the balls or the horse. But he's just like going with the flow. He doesn't seem to care. Other than the writer's block thing, he's been very understanding of the situation. And whereas I first saw him leaving the show after a couple of episodes, I almost see him going throughout most of the season. I think what they're going to do next episode, I think it was a dream in the previews. I think it's a dream Wade's having. And where, as much as he is leading us to believe that it's Zoe who is kind of going to come back to Wade and Wade doesn't have to fight for her, maybe this will spark something for him, and which will lead into the second half of the season where it's kind of this weird, awkward thing that could, you know, end his friendship with Joel and start something with Zoe and end that relationship. It kind of reminds me of season 1 where we saw the tension happening between all the parties, Lemon and George, and Zoe and George, and Zoe and Wade, but nothing really came to a head until the very end of the season. I think that's what it might be with this, especially whereas we're meeting his family next week, or Grandma. Isn't Grandma coming to Bluebell for Hanukkah? Didn't he say that?
Oh, I missed
I
that.
didn't see that.
Like last episode, I think he said that. So if the family's there, I don't really see a breakup happening, but I'm not quite sure.
Shouldn't he be going home for Hanukkah? Isn't that when
I mean, most people go home, for the holidays. They don't make.
It's not like they have reason to go to Alabama.
No, but you know, he's embracing Bluebell and all that it has to offer. So they'll probably be the only ones celebrating Hanukkah.
Yeah.
But if you guys have any predictions, let us know. Again, make sure you check out iTunes, comment, rate. Tell us what you're thinking. Give us 5 stars if you think we deserve it, which I hope you do. And make sure you guys come back next week because we'll be here again. So also follow us on Twitter. You can keep the conversation going on AfterBuzz TV. You can personally tweet me at Paige Sullivan.
You can find me on Twitter at Twitter and Instagram at Michelle Renee LA.
And you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at CRChair.
So make sure you tweet all of us. Tell us what you're thinking, and we will see you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.